Let's face it, some of us are just wired differently. We love cars, we love to drive. It doesn't make rational sense fetishizing a means of transport, but those who know that this is no fetish, this is the essence of life. This irrational love of driving is taken to new levels in my country, Singapore, where you have excellent public transportation and just the permission to keep the car on the road for 10 years, yes, just the permission, costs about $100,000. Then the car and the import taxes, oh my god, those import taxes, they come on top from that little black hole in your pocket. Yet, some of us scrape and scrounge and we still manage to drive. Lord knows how we do it, but we do it.
So this raises an important question. In a country where owning just one car can put you on the brink of financial receivership, which car is worth it? Which car can really do everything that you want, you need, that you hope and dream that a car can do? You may think the Porsche 911 is the everyday sports car, but show your wife the back seats of a Porsche 911 and watch her show you the front door. No, I think the two-seater sports car or even a 2+2-seater, it's a fantasy here in Singapore. It's really an indulgent dream for just really the super rich. What you really need is a car that can offer the driving thrills of a 911, yet it can work just like a car. And there's always been one answer to this question. The car that can offer the thrills of a 911, yet the comfort of a German airport taxi. And that car is this one. The answer to that question has always been the BMW M5.
Now, I've spent my life dreaming of the BMW M5, and I have one for the weekend. And we're going to take it everywhere, do everything with it, and we're going to find out whether it indeed lives up to the promise of the ultimate one-car garage in a country where the one-car garage is not an intellectual exercise, but a very hard, practical reality.
So, to put this to the test, we are going to do three things. Number one, does the BMW M5 really offer the thrills of a 911? Or to be more practical, given we are doing this for Singapore, does it offer the thrill of driving not just at massive speeds, which you can't do in Singapore, but at regular speeds in regular city driving, expressway driving? Does it put a smile on your face every time you go out? That's the whole point, isn't it? Number two, can this really be your only car? Can this really work as a car? Can it ferry around passengers? So what I'm going to do is it's going to take the person who literally needs a car for their job, my wife, a real estate agent, and I'm going to drive her around. And I'm going to see whether she has any trouble making her calls, doing her work. Is it really working like a boring German airport taxi? And number three, and this is the important bit, does this car really make sense to buy versus, say, a normal car that you would just buy? Right? Can you get a performance car? Can you get an old performance car, a used performance car? What do you need to know? We're going to go through that, and we're going to go in particular with this, talk in particular about this particular car. All right, first impressions time.
Let's go. As you start this car, you realize immediately that you're not in a regular saloon car. Now, this is not my first time driving the BMW M5, hardly, but I already know a little bit of what I'm going to expect, and it is very different from anything I've owned before. I'm a little bit of a modern performance saloon enthusiast, mostly BMW, but other brands as well. The Germans mostly, so to speak, own plenty of them. Because any modern BMW, F30, G30, G12, F06, etc. If you can hear me over this engine, I've driven them all, I've owned them all. Now, this thing is a very different beast to even a modern performance BMW. First thing you notice is, of course, that sound, that angry bellowing V8. This car, of course, has an Akrapovic exhaust, so you would expect that. But even then, even at relatively humane speeds, you are constantly being reminded of that engine, that exhaust. The steering is heavy-ish, but not too heavy. I have it in comfort mode over here. It's pleasingly accurate. The car feels heavy, but the steering itself feels good. It gives a very good first impression. But there's no getting around the fact that this is almost a 2-ton car. You feel that out of the box. This feels way heavier than my BMW 540i, which is about 1650 kilos. There's a theme that I expect is going to be constant as I have this car over the weekend. It is that today when we buy sporty cars, especially in 2025, when engineering has become so, or rather tuning has become so sophisticated in terms of tuning these cars for really everyday people, but of course marketing them like they're race cars. This car is a very different, non-marketed or authentic beast. I can already tell that, because you could think of this as a saloon car that does whatever, has great numbers, but it really doesn't feel like that. What this feels more like is this is a car that's designed to go fast, like a car designed for the track, and it happens to have 5 seats. And this is a major distinction, because a saloon car that can be sporty but is primarily a saloon car is different from a car that is primarily sporty but happens to have a saloon body style and happens to seat 5. This car seems to fall in that category. First impressions done, now it's time for the true test. Can a BMW M5 be the car for a person who needs a car for their job? A real estate agent. I'll follow one all day to find out. The ultimate test for any car. The back seat selling Singapore or selling Sunset, whatever. Selling Sentosa. Test. First impressions?
It's spacious, but I think obviously this is a sports car, right? So it can't be as spacious as the other cars.
You drive to be context, you drive a 7 Series. So yes, it's not as spacious as a 7 Series.
True. That's true. I'm spoiled. No, but yeah, I'm quite surprised by the fact that there are proper 3 seats, and then, there's quite a fair bit of headroom, which I think usually is not in sports cars as well.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm getting knowledge. I sound like an experienced person. But yeah, overall first impressions are not too bad, because there is space, there's headroom. The aircon is really powerful in this car, by the way.
Because it's got a new aircon.
Ah, okay.
New compressor.
That makes sense. Yeah, that's my initial first impressions.
Okay, we'll catch up
Now
with you
can we
later
start?
in the journey.
Can we start working, and can you start driving?
Okay, yes indeed. Money never sleeps.
Okay, so where are we heading now?
Heading to your next appointment so that money cannot sleep. You can't sleep.
Okay, so I mean, yeah, I think it's a pretty comfortable car, I have to say. Okay, I have to be really honest. It doesn't give me a very sports car vibes, and given the nature of my work, I'm always super against sports cars, because they have never enough space to put my clients comfortably seated. And also the fact that they're not as comfortable to drive. I'm yet to drive this car though. I don't know if I will get a chance. Will I get a chance?
Mystery.
Right. So yeah, I mean, I'm gonna start working, but yeah, I'm decently happy with with the car and the driver. Just that the driver switches from comfort mode to sports mode rather quickly. I think that's what this car is designed to do, I suppose. Is that right?
Yes. From beauty to beast.
Right. As you said that, I turned the camera from me to you. I have to say, when you were coming to pick me up, it did give me a very sporty feel, because you know it has low bumpers and it has a very sporty appearance, which I think is very nice and stylish. But when I sat in the car, I'm pleasantly surprised, because you know, we've sat in convertibles before, in sports cars before, and usually they tend to be not so comfortable and not so spacious. I'm a pretty tall person, I would say.
Actually quite spacious inside.
Right? And even though, you know, you have this this whole console right in the middle, but it doesn't really take away from the space, you know, and it actually gives me a feeling of like my own space, which I actually quite like. It's a pretty comfortable car. Like, I can hear the sound that makes me that reminds me again and again that I'm sitting in a sports car. And obviously, like, it's low, so that's one of the things that's, you know, a feature with sports car, which personally I don't like, but but I think that's what most sports car drivers like, right? That it's low, for all technical reasons. But yeah, so overall my analysis is it's a pretty nice, comfortable, spacious ride, yet a very stylish, sporty appearance, which is a rare and a great fit to have.
So there you have it. The car is approved by the most important stakeholder. But then there is a second most important stakeholder, me. How does the car drive? Does it really drive like a sports car?
Frankly speaking, how well a car drives, even a sports car drives, has to be judged in the city, even for a sports car, especially if you're living in Singapore. Because yes, you have amazing roads out there in Malaysia, so you do have the opportunity to try out certain things at highway speeds, but because you need to go across a border, you need to be having fun in your sports car every single day. Otherwise it's pointless. Why spend all that money? Why not just stick to public transport, right? Why not just stick to a plain vanilla car? Why not just get an electric car or something? So what we're going to do now is we're going to take the M5 to some of my favorite roads, not very far from my house. Of course, it's not high speed or anything. We are all living in Singapore, but it's a good chance to get a sense of whether this car can be great fun even at normal speeds. It's about sometime in the evening. It's not exactly, the roads aren't exactly empty. Again, the whole point is just driving in your day-to-day, through your commute. Are you having fun? So immediately I noticed a few things, right? The steering feel of this car is excellent, and maybe because I am just used to cars with poor steering feel, so that's one big thing that I noticed. The sound is also very nice, and the whole combination is, it's a very, very sporty drive. This is not comparable to a regular 5 Series sedan. The second thing to note is that the gearbox is very nice, it's fast, but it's a little awkward at slow speed, and it's a little dim-witted when you leave it in automatic mode, which means that this car kind of forces you to get into manual mode, which is very easy. You just have to press the paddles, it happens naturally. So you end up driving the car in a more involved fashion. You actually end up driving the car almost like a manual car, sans the clutch, but you know, you end up changing gears. And talking about gears, another thing that I do have to call out is the way this car is geared, and the way this car's whole thing works is very different from a regular car. Because in a regular car, you're kind of used to the car shifting up as quickly as possible, so that you're always kind of targeting being at 2000 RPM. That's what the gearbox does. In this car's case, it's not really that. You actually find out that you are in a lower gear than you expect. And for this car, I think it really comes alive after 3,000-4,000 RPM. So you find yourself doing that only in the earlier gears, because if you try to do even 4,000 RPM plus in a higher gear, this is not the right speed for this country. So that's another thing. way, talking about this country, I think Singapore presents a unique challenge. In a country with a 90 km per hour speed limit, can an M5 actually ever make sense? I mean, 90 kilometers per hour, you could say that M5 could get into it in second gear or something. But here's what I'm realizing. What I'm realizing is that this car is, perhaps it's an M product thing, and we're going to take a 3-point turn here just for the sake of seeing how it is at low speed. And steering is heavier than a 5 Series, but it's very okay, it's very tolerable, and wow, it even almost made this very tight turn. So I was not expecting it to, but then once it was showing signs, I just had to go for it. There, I sense a little bit of low speed judder. So that is the thing that you need to know with the DCT versus regular. But look at that sound. That is the sense of occasion that you get when you go in this car. What else? What else do I want you to take away from my drive of the M5? Again, I am not usually a fan of non-standard modifications, but this flat-bottomed carbon steering wheel with an Alcantara rim is a pleasure. I know this is a very expensive part. If it was my own car, I would have just had one look at the price of this aftermarket steering wheel and not looked at it again. But given that it has already been done for this car, I appreciate it. I don't see myself going back to the normal steering wheel. You know, as I've made no secret about it, I was looking at this car, or rather, I was looking at the M5. And one of the thoughts that I had is any M5 that I'll get, I would immediately revert it to completely standard spec. But seeing this tastefully modified car, it just looks so good, sounds so good, and feels so good with the steering wheel. I'm not really that certain anymore. I'll probably leave it as it is. Even the lowered suspension, something I'm not usually a fan of. I've been driving this car all day. I drove my wife to the other side of Singapore and back. Went over speed bumpers, went into car parks. No issue at all. So this is perhaps the right ride height. And that sound. We are not doing anything close to a license busting speed here. And still I'm having fun. Still I'm experiencing that sound. I'm hearing that engine. Yeah, I have to say that my conclusion is that if you really want to enjoy an M5, a sports car rather, even at Singapore speeds, I have to say the M5 does fulfill that brief. It really does.
Alrighty, now it's time to zoom in on this particular car. This, in my opinion, is a very good example of a F10 M5 here in Singapore, and I'm going to get into the reasons why. So this particular M5 is an early example of the F10 generation. It's from 2012, which is pretty much the first year of production. The standout of this car for me actually is the color. It's called Moonstone Metallic, and I'll be very honest with you, this is my favorite M5 color. This is one of the reasons why this car has been so tempting to me as well, even though I already have 2 cars. So anyways, that's a different story. So anyway, Moonstone Metallic, it's been blacked out very, very tastefully, let's just say. These headlamps are smoked. Not exactly sure what has been done, but the effect is very nice and they're very powerful. So these seem like OEM parts. It's got the carbon package. You've got oh my god, rear view mirrors. And you've got, of course, that OEM from the factory, as confirmed by BMW, the carbon fiber spoiler. You also have carbon in the bumper, the diffuser, which looks quite nice. Matches the black on the Krapovic exhaust rather nicely. And I guess the owner has done some very nice subtle highlighting. Just black here instead of silver. Of course, it's got the black package, whatever it's called, shadow line. And even the roof has been blacked out. So all in all, it combines to give it a very, very... It's one of the very nice looking M5s, I'll say, because of the combination of silver and black. Then we have to come to the wheels. These are very, very expensive forged wheels. These are by PC. I think they are from Taiwan. I'm not the expert on aftermarket wheels,
And I am not usually someone who's an advocate for them. I just love OEM wheels. The thing is, tell me if I'm wrong, but does this not look like the hammer of the gods to you? So that's one thing to note. The front, of course, looks nice to begin with, but I think when you go to the rear and you can see a touch of the dish, which you're going to give it to you right now, I think that effect is just amazing. The other thing to note about this car is, of course, it's on lowered springs, pretty high quality parts, and it does transform the stance of this car. I mean, one of the first things that my wife noticed is it looks really low and really mean, even though it's a big saloon car. So it's, if you are towards the sports car bent versus the saloon car bent, this is definitely nice. I have to, of course, call out the less than a year old Michelin Pilot Sport 4S, my favorite tire actually. I have it on my cars. So this owner, of course, is quite fond of the best parts, as you can even see when we look under the engine hood. Let's look inside the car and let's talk about what the car comes with stock and what has been done to it. So this has got a black merino leather interior. This is not the extended package, it's just the regular package. Extended package would have had merino leather on the bottom. It's just black regular 5 Series. So it's got a black merino package. It's got a sunroof. It's got, of course, but a standard sunroof is not standard. You can either have a sunroof or a carbon roof. It has the M seats, which are very nice. One of some of the best seats that you'll probably ever sit in. It has a heads-up display. It has, of course, all the M accoutrement. We'll run through how all of this works. And yeah, I mean, the M5 is a fully loaded car to begin with, so it has things that you take for granted, of course: automatic headlamps, automatic wipers, comfort access, which means you keyless entry essentially, and yeah, fully equipped. Now let's talk about what has been added. This is this entire carbon package. So the carbon steering wheel with the flat bottom, which is rather nice, as I may have already told you. You've got carbon all over the gear lever, the central console. Basically all the trim pieces that would have been wood or aluminium have been replaced with carbon. And carbon is something that some people like a lot. I have to admit that I am a wood guy. I'm not a fan of carbon, not a fan of aluminium. I like wood. Maybe I'm old school that way, but some people like it. The condition of the car, I would say, is okay. There is mechanically and there's cosmetically. Let's get inside the car. Mechanically, of course, this car is basically a 10 out of 10 because of all the extensive rebuilds that have either already shown you or I will show you in a second. One of the other things that we have to talk about with this particular car is what's been done with it. Because the thing is, when you're buying a high-performance car, and this is the theme of this entire video, that this is a high-performance car that happens to have 5 seats. So you can have your cake and eat it too, which is to say that you have your sports car, your muscle car, but it can do the job as a normal car, ferrying around passengers, taking care of practical needs. But a high-performance car, a sports car, is not a normal car. It's not a regular saloon. It's not your Toyota Camry. So let's talk about what's been done with this car to make sure it is up to shape. And I'll talk about this particular car. Now, let's talk about the F10 M5 in general, the S63 engine. It's a decent engine, though it needs to be taken care of. And particularly in the tropics in Singapore, they need extra care. So that's one thing to note. First, let's talk about what this particular car has modified from original. So it has a legal, very important point, legal with certificate Akrapovic exhaust. What a sound. It's a muscle car, and that exhaust completes it. It has carbon fittings all around, not the spoiler. The spoiler is original from the factory. We've checked Bimmer work, but the rest of the fittings, all the trim and everything, including that lever, steering wheel, everything, it's all carbon fittings from It's Just Carbon. They're a renowned fitter here in Singapore. It's had its suspension lowered. Now this is a very common mod amongst M5s. But
It's all very high quality components. So it's got KW coilover V3, and the absorbers are, of course, the standard BMW absorbers. The absorbers were changed actually in March 2024, and I have a long list of everything that was done on this particular car. Okay, let's get through this list, because if you're really looking at this car, you need to know, right? And particularly in Singapore, when a car is already costing you such a big part of your life, it needs to not cost you too much more. So this car's had its crankshaft sensor done in September 2004. By the way, folks, if you don't want to know about this particular car, just skip ahead. I'm just going to go through this for anyone who's interested actually in this car. Roof, sunroof, and sun visor upholstery. Yes, oh my god, my first E60 5 Series 530i, my poor man's M5, the roof lining was problematic. AC compressor, which is great. Denso AC compressor, May 2025. Old BMWs need that. AC dryer, full AC gas top up. AC gas top up is just a normal thing to do. The compressor is the big one. I better close the door. It's starting to rain. Okay. Then what else do we have? The new battery, February 2023. Bosch new sensor, February 2023. High pressure fuel pump, an important point. Bosch injector, Bosch O2 sensor, all in February 2023. AC system fully flushed in September 2023. But so this predates the AC compressor being replaced. I guess it was due for an AC change. It's a 13-year-old BMW car at the end of the day. DCT oil pan, filter kit, and fluid replaced. AC condenser, all of this done. So basically the AC had clearly a bunch of issues, so they decided to finally get it all fully done up. And this is the crazy bit. One more thing, then the crazy bit. All tires replaced in Jan 2004. PS4s, those are not cheap. But this is the crazy bit. This is the engine has been rebuilt. And when I read that list, and by the way, the owner of this car let me into how much it cost. It cost a pretty penny. But let's get into it, and I'm going to flash it here. It's got more line items than your average tax return, for sure. So you have, I don't know, you can see it over here. Everything here from valve seals to oil seals to water pump, thermostat, inlet pipe, timing chain. Oh my god. DCT O-ring, exhaust manifold. You can do the math on it. Basically, the entire engine of this car has been rebuilt. What does that mean? This basically means that in this particular car's case, you are getting, and I would not be exaggerating if I say this, because I've been through this painful process of doing this on many different cars, but you are getting probably about $40,000 to $50,000 Singapore dollars, say about 30 to 35,000 US dollars worth of wear and tear actually built in. So with this car, if I look at it, the only thing it really needs is a little bit of rubber plastic parts. This is the typical sticky handles that BMWs have. I had it on my 3 Series rather, the F30. Other than that, the car is practically perfect, like inside and out, because of course a little bit of wear and tear for the leather of the seats. That again is a few $100 fix. You can get it conditioned up, get the parts replaced, the sticky rubber parts replaced. You can get some excellent OEM style parts here in Asia. And you're done. The most important things, the big bills, the engine, the gearbox, the air conditioning, that is not a problem. So which is why I wanted to feature this particular car, because this particular car is a good candidate for that person who is actually looking to make their dreams come true, because you need to make your dreams come true, but real life also has to be managed. You can't just put a $50,000 hole in your pocket on repairs just after you buy an expensive car. So with this car, because it comes with all the receipts, it's been done at one of the most renowned BMW workshops in Singapore. I think it's a very good choice. And yeah, no, the interesting thing is, the reason I'm also covering this car is because I was interested in this car. But the thing for me is that I really want a convertible, though the M5 is my car. So, and the owner of the car is like, maybe are you sure you want a convertible? And after driving this, it's also the emotional connection of the M5. I'm not feeling that sure. But anyways, it's my job here to at least show this car and give you my conclusions as much as I can. So conclusion time. Is the BMW M5 the sports car, the supercar almost, that you can drive every day? Will it keep your wife happy, your family happy, yet put a smile on your face? I think the answer is simple. Yes. And if you're on the fence, I think you should get it.